All right, welcome to MMA Al Dente. I wanted to give you guys some thoughts here about the UFC career or the UFC opportunity, as Dana White put it, which that's really what this video is about. I was listening to a comment that was made last night at the post-fight press conference by Neil Magny after he beat Max Griffin. And Neil said when he was 1-2 in the UFC, after he lost his third fight, he was done. He thought he was done. He thought he wasn't going to fight in the UFC, and he said he accepted it. Like, I guess it just wasn't meant to be or whatever. And his plan to provide for his family, which is what he's all about, was to be a police officer, which I thought was really ironic. He said, I'll just join the force. I'll be a police officer. I'm still young enough. I'll provide stability for my family, whatever. Things did work out in one way or another. He got another fight. He won that fight, kept winning, won some other fights. And one thing led to another. He's been in the UFC for almost 10 years at this point, and he set a few records. He's had a fucking excellent career, and that's a bona fide career. He's won some epic fights, won some bonuses. He's headlined fight night events, had his name on the poster, his face on the poster, his name on the marquee. He's really made an excellent career out of this whole thing with dozens of fights in the UFC at this point. That's a career. And it got me thinking, his comment about the UFC and how he was going to join the police force. Got me thinking how ironic that is, considering what happened in the main event on that same card. Chris Daukaus lost. Chris Daukaus was a police officer for maybe it was like 7 or 8 years, but I think it was like 12 years. I really don't know, but I know it was about 10 years, that's already a hell of a career. And retirement and the pension and all that comes at after 20 years, I believe. So he gave up a lot when he retired from the police force. He gave up a lot, and he bet on himself, just like everybody did, and like Neil Magny did. But he gave up all that stability, and he was halfway there or thereabout. Like I said, I'm not sure if it was 7 years or 12 years or 10 exactly, but he just retired a few months ago, and since then he's lost 2 fights in the UFC, both of which were knockout losses. This all happened in the last 3 months. So not only is he probably still fucking concussed or seriously hurt, but he's got to take some time off to recover. I'm not just talking about the athletic commission suspension that nobody really wants to respect, but he's going to need time to recover, I believe, and he's also got to protect himself better. He's got to work on some things in the gym. This is a guy who's been knocked out in 4 of his 5 fights. And it's not like he's got the longest career ever. And these are 4 knockouts, I believe, where he's been concussed. That's not something that's sustainable long term. You can't do that and have the career that Neil Magny's had. Neil Magny's been knocked out a few times too, but not like that. And it's not going to happen every loss. Like I said in the pre-fight video and the post-fight video, I'm talking about the event. Every loss that Chris Daukaus suffers will be due to knockout. That's my prediction. He's lost once via Kimura or whatever the fuck. But I think every time you see him lose at the UFC level, which he will lose, it'll be due to a knockout. And for a guy that just bet on himself really big and threw away a big safety net, he just cut that thing loose. He's in a rough spot right now. He's in that limbo spot between opportunity and career. And there's no telling how it's going to go, his UFC career or his UFC opportunity here. But I don't know. I think I'm really skeptical that he can turn it into a career, make a long-term endeavor out of this whole thing because, it's a different game at heavyweight. He's got that chin. I do think there's potential for him to make it to light heavyweight. He's obviously got some extra weight on him, and he's not the biggest man. His middleweight brother's a little taller than him. Again, not that that says everything, but, he's got to think and do something serious here because it's not always going to work out like it did for Neil Magny. And, you can't change your chin. That's not going away. And believe me, if Neil Magny had a weak chin where he was knocked out silly like he was the first time I saw him lose on The Ultimate Fighter, check out that loss. Mike Ricci knocked him out with an elbow in the semifinals. I believe it was maybe the only finish or one of the only two finishes in the 15 fights on The Ultimate Fighter that season. If there's 16 fucking fighters, they do a tournament, there's 15 fights. I don't know, there's always horse shit with whatever. But it was like one of the only few finishes. But that's the first time I saw him lose, was getting knocked out with an elbow. He'd been knocked out. He was knocked out a few times since then in the UFC and whatever, but it's not something that's consistent with him. With Chris Daukaus, it's just how he's going to lose. And he's really got to work on some things, first and foremost, keeping his hands up, controlling his offense better, probably in general less offense. We're going to see from Chris Daukaus if he's going to be protecting that chin, because there's no way he's going back to the bottom of the ladder. He's still 4-2 in the UFC. He's got 4 knockouts in the UFC, which is why he was riding so high going into the Derek Lewis fight. But things didn't work out there, and again, that was a fair matchup. You got to look to the odds. Chris Daukaus was a favorite, so you can't say they mismanaged him by feeding him to Derek Lewis. No, he's the favorite. That's how you determine the fairness of a matchup. And the public said, yeah, Daukaus is good enough for this test. The Curtis Blades fight, totally different. Curtis Blades was a 7-2 or 4-1 favorite over Chris Daukaus. That was a poorly managed decision there. And he's in a rough spot now. It's not always going to work out like it did for Magny. So, career or opportunity, how's it going to go?